Alright, so we started off today by going over the quiz from Wednesday, and then we went on to lesson number 85, which is bar graphs. Bar graphs are used to show categorical data more visually, and I'm sure that you guys have learned these before in other math classes, and I'm sure you've seen them a lot in real life. But just to review, here are the steps that we're going to need in order to create these. First thing you're going to want to do is organize the data with a frequency table, much like what you guys saw on the quiz and what we talked about Monday and Tuesday. You're going to want to then label the x-axis with one of the sets of categories. So sometimes there's two different types of categories. For instance, if you're asking males and females what their favorite vegetable is, you have gender as a category, and then you also have the preferred vegetable as a category. So you pick one of those to label your x-axis with, and then you look at the frequencies of the different categories and decide on an appropriate scale for the y-axis for your graph. Then you're going to graph the frequencies for each part of the category. So say, again, with the vegetables for each gender, you would want to split it, if, say, you split it up by the different vegetables for your x-axis, then for each vegetable you need to have two different bars, one for the males and one for the females. Okay, so you need to show the frequencies for each part of that category. Once you do all that, you might want to make a key just to show the reader, just to make it even more clear what each of those bars represent. So for instance, if you had the vegetable one with males and females, you would say, okay, I did all the males. The bars that represent the male frequencies are blue, and the ones that represent the female frequencies are red. Okay, something like that. So here's our first examples. These were both from the quiz. So instead of giving someone the information in a table, we can show them this same information with a bar graph. So for number one, this one's pretty easy. There's just one category. It's just the electives. So I'm going to make that my x-axis here. And then I'll write the three different types, so art, drama, and photo. Then the y-axis, I want to pick an appropriate scale. The numbers here I have are 9 and 8. So I want to probably go up to 10, and I'm going to go by 2. So I'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then I'm going to make the bars. So art, there was 9 people, so I'm going to make a line at 9 and make the bar here. Drama had 8 people, so I'm going to make the line here, and that will be the bar to represent those people. Then photo also had 8, so that's going to be right here. Okay, so pretty simple, not super interesting, but it still gives us a visual representation of the data that we had. Okay, number 2 is a little more interesting. So I have favorite types of movies, but I also have gender. So I'm going to pick to list the favorite types of movies as the categories on my x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to do action, comedy, then drama. And for a scale here, I see that the highest number I have is 35. Okay, I'm not graphing the total numbers because that would be more of a graph like this. Okay, each one would just have one bar. Instead, I want to have a bar for each of the female frequencies and then a bar for each of the male frequencies. Okay, so the highest number I have here is 35. So I want my table to go up to at least 35. With how this is spaced out on my screen, I'm going to actually go by 10s. You could go by 5s. This grid, though, actually has these darker lines, and then between them there's 5, so I can be pretty accurate if I just label these at 10, 20, 30, and then 40. Because 35 would fall in between here, right? So all of my data will be able to fit, and I'll be able to see it, right? It'll be just big enough. Okay, then I'm going to plot each of these. So females who liked action movies. Okay, again, just doing the female part first. So this is 35. Okay, and then males who liked action movies was 12, so that's going to be here. Females who liked comedy there were 32, so that's this section right here. Then males who liked comedy, that was 28, so that's here. Females who preferred drama movies, there was 18. And males who preferred drama movies, there was 10. Okay, I want to make a key to show the red represents the females, blue represents the males here. And now I have a nice bar graph that I could give to someone, right? If I'm presenting this kind of data to a boss or someone that I'm trying to sell something to, I want to present it in a way that's visually appealing, right? So a table gives us some information. They're useful at times and to give us the exact numbers, but a bar graph gives us a good visual with approximation. So just from looking at this, I can see, okay, well, there were definitely more females surveyed because each category has more females than males. Also, males mostly liked comedy, and the rest of them were split between action and drama pretty equally. Females preferred action the most and drama the least. Okay, so there's a lot of data that I can pull from that. Alright, so moving on, the next examples the students did on their iPads, but I'll show you what I did for mine. So if you're at home, go ahead and practice this at home. Make sure that you understand it, and then check your work against these. Okay, so for number 3, I plot the cans against the frequency. So the cans, there's 3 types. This one's just like number 1, okay, where I just have one category, so it's not quite as interesting. The scale I chose was to do by 2s. Then I have peas with 8, corn with 11, and soup with 6. Okay, then for the preferred animal at the zoo, this is like example number 2. I'm going to use the animals as the category on the x-axis, and then I'll make 2 separate columns for each category, one to represent the 11th graders and one to represent the 12th graders. Okay, so here's what my graph would look like. The x-axis, again, is going to represent the preferred zoo animals, and the y-axis will be the frequency. My biggest number is 17, so I chose to go by 5s here. For females who preferred lions, there was 9. Females that preferred zebras, there were 15. And females that preferred monkeys, there were 14. Then in my key, I want to make sure I show that that's 11th grade. Oh, sorry, it's 11th grade, not females. I misspoke. So the 11th grade is in green, and then 12th grade here in purple. There were 4 that preferred lions, 17 preferred zebras, and 15 preferred monkeys. So that's the graph that I would have from this data. Okay, and it's important to somehow distinguish between the 2 different sets of data that you have. So here it was 11th and 12th graders. I chose to do 11th grade in green and then 12th grade in purple. Another way you could do it, maybe if you're just using a pencil, you could use dashed lines for one of the bars, and then for the other category, you could fill it in solid. Okay, or just leave it plain and then do another one that's solid, or zigzags. Okay, something to distinguish between the 2 types, or the 2 parts that you have for each of the categories. Okay. But that's pretty much it for today. So try one of these for practice, and I will see you on Monday.